I used to lose every evening to mindless scrolling until I tried something that changed everything. These 8 weird habits allegedly reprogrammed how I spend my nights. Some say it's too simple to work, but it worked. Stick around and decide for yourself. And don't forget to subscribe for more real talk. The shutdown ritual. I used to think finishing work just meant closing my laptop, but my brain didn't get the memo. Even after I physically left my desk, mentally, I was still in work mode. I'd catch myself checking emails, replaying conversations, and worrying about unfinished tasks until bedtime. Then I tried something that seemed too small to matter, a shutdown ritual. Now, every evening when work ends, I stand up, take 3 deep breaths, and shut my laptop with intention. It's not just symbolic, it tells my brain, we're done here. What's strange is how effective this became. That tiny moment, the pause, the breath, the sound of the lid closing, started to feel like flipping a switch. It was the first habit that shifted everything, but that was just the beginning. What came next added structure and purpose to my evenings in a way I never expected. 90-minute power blocks. Back then, my evenings felt like a giant, unstructured blob of time. I'd try to relax, feel overwhelmed by all the things I could do, and end up doing nothing meaningful. That changed when I learned about how our brains work in natural 90-minute focus cycles. Instead of thinking of the evening as one big free-for-all, I broke it into 3 intentional parts. I called them power blocks. Block 1 was recovery. That's the moment right after work. I decompress, lie down, maybe have a snack. No pressure, no to-do list, just a reset. Block 2 was growth. This is where I'd explore a hobby, learn something new, or get some movement in. Surprisingly, this was when I actually started feeling energized again. Block 3 was connection. That meant phone calls, dinner with family, or even just quality time with myself, journaling, reflecting, or watching something uplifting. These weren't rigid schedules. They were flexible frames. And what made them work wasn't discipline. It was that they aligned with how my mind naturally flowed. Reverse scheduling. Mornings used to feel like a race I hadn't trained for. I'd wake up groggy, skip breakfast, and barely make it out the door. I blamed myself for not being a morning person. But then something clicked. My morning wasn't broken. My evening was. So I flipped the script. Instead of planning my day from morning to night, I started from bedtime and worked backward. If I wanted 8 hours of sleep and had to be up at 7 a.m., I'd aim to wind down by 10:30. That gave me a clear structure for those power blocks. This tiny change brought massive clarity. I stopped negotiating with bedtime, and my mornings became smoother. The earlier I respected my night, the better my day turned out. App mortality and analog hour. Let's talk about the part that took the longest for me to change, my phone. I used to scroll endlessly. News, reels, memes, convincing myself I was relaxing. But I always felt more drained afterward. Then I tried something bold. Each evening, I delete 1 app from my phone. Just 1. I called it app mortality. At first, I panicked. What if I need it tomorrow? But 90% of the time, I didn't even remember which app I had deleted. That gave me the confidence to take it further. 1 hour before bed, I started the analog hour. No screens, no pings. I'd put my phone and laptop in another room completely. My bedroom became a calm space, not an extension of the office. I even bought a basic alarm clock just so I wouldn't rely on my phone by the bed. That hour became sacred. It felt like reclaiming a part of myself I didn't realize I had lost at that. Future self-journaling and evening sanctuary. This one surprised me the most because I never saw myself as a journaling person. But I didn't write about tasks or goals. I wrote letters, and to my morning self. Not what I should do tomorrow, but how I wanted to feel. Energized, grateful, focused. Something strange happened. My brain started figuring out how to get me there. It was like future-proofing my mood. At the same time, I redesigned my space. Soft lights, cozy textures, a warm drink. I called it my evening sanctuary. It wasn't just decor, it was an invitation to unwind. This combo, the journaling and the environment, helped me ease out of the day and into something better. It made the whole evening feel like a ritual instead of just time killing. Energy vampire audit and social battery. Have you ever hung out with someone and feel completely drained afterward? It took me a while to admit this. Not all evening social time is created equal. I used to say yes to everything: texts, calls, meetups, even when I didn't have the energy for it. That's when I discovered the concept of social battery. Like our phones, we run out of social charge, especially after work. So I did what I now call an energy vampire audit. I paid attention to which conversations left me energized and which ones drained me. It wasn't about cutting people out. It was about timing them right. Now I maintain 3 to 5 close connections that truly lift me up. I plan most of my evening social time with them. And when I do, I always leave Chateau 15 minutes afterward just for quiet. Like a cool down after exercise, that time helps me reset. This shift gave me emotional balance. It helped me stop ending my evenings mentally overstimulated or socially burned out. Micro-habit stacking and keystone habits. There was a time I tried to build the perfect evening routine. It was packed: workout, meal prep, read a book, meditate, write, all before 10 p.m. It lasted 2 days. What actually worked was much simpler and way more sustainable. It's called micro-habit stacking. Tiny actions that take less than 30 seconds, linked to something I already do. Here's what it looks like. I walk through the door, hang up my keys, take off my shoes, and immediately change into home clothes. 3 micro habits stack naturally, but the real game changer, my keystone habit. For me, it's making tea. Every evening I brew a cup. Same mug, same ritual. And somehow that one simple act tells my brain, it's evening time now. Let's shift gears. Once that habit locks in, everything else flows. Reading, journaling, stretching, it's like a domino, and the first piece is always the easiest. Movement, snacking, and energy audit. One of the biggest lies I told myself after work was, I'm too tired to move. So I'd crash on the couch, hours would pass. I'd scroll through videos, snack mindlessly, maybe binge watch a series I barely remembered the next day. I thought I was relaxing, but I always felt more drained. Then I learned something that flipped my idea of rest upside down. Movement creates energy, not full-on workouts, not gym time, not a 5K run, just little micro movements, what I now call movement snacking. Every 30 to 45 minutes, I started adding tiny, energizing motions, stretching my arms above my head, marching in place while brushing my teeth, doing 10 squats after folding laundry, even just walking around the room with music on. Each one took under a minute, but the effect was wild. It felt like I was pressing a reset button on my body and brain. The best part? It didn't require motivation. I didn't need gym clothes. I didn't even need energy to start. I just stood up and something shifted. But the biggest shift came when I began tracking what actually helped me feel better in the evenings. I ran a little experiment called the Evening Energy Audit. For 1 week, every evening from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., I paused at the top of each hour and asked myself, what's my energy level right now from 1 to 10? What am I doing? What did I just finish doing? How do I feel? At first, it felt silly, but by the 3rd day, patterns were obvious. Whenever I ate heavy takeout, my energy tanked by 7 p.m. Whenever I took a 10-minute evening walk, my energy rebounded. Whenever I had a video call after 8, I couldn't sleep till midnight. Even the lighting in my room had an effect. Bright overhead lights made me feel alert, while soft desk lamps eased me down. This wasn't about judging my habits, it was about understanding them. When I started syncing my power blocks with these energy waves, putting light social time during high energy, reading or tea during the low, I stopped fighting my body's rhythm. Evenings stopped being this battle to get things done or relax right. They started to flow. I felt more alive, more aware, and most of all, more in control. And it all started with a single stretch. Integration and life-work bridge. Everything I've shared so far, the journaling, the 90-minute blocks, the energy tracking, sounds great on paper, but none of it would have lasted if I hadn't figured out how to tie it all together. And I didn't figure that out through productivity videos or books. It hit me one evening after work. I closed my laptop, did my 3 deep breaths, but my mind was still spinning. My body was home, but mentally, I was still in work mode. And I realized I didn't need another habit. I needed a transition, something to guide me from doing to being. So I created what I now call the life-work bridge. Not a wall, not a boundary, a bridge. Because let's be honest, building a hard wall between work and life isn't always realistic. Sometimes your brain will wander back to that meeting or email thread. And that's okay. What you need is a gentle path to bring you back home to yourself. Here's how my bridge looks now. Step 1, physical transition. I leave my workspace. I physically move to a new space, even if it's just the kitchen or living room. No lounging yet, just movement. Step 2, one mindful task. It could be watering a plant, wiping down the counter, or putting on calming music. Something grounding and physical that tells my body, we're done working. Step 3, anchor the evening. I do one consistent action that always kicks off my evening. Brewing tea, dimming the lights, changing clothes. That one action becomes the signal. Some days the bridge is 5 minutes, other days it's 20. But here's the secret. That bridge is what makes every other evening habit possible. Because without it, I'd carry the day with me like a heavy backpack. And everything, reading, relaxing, even talking to someone, felt harder than it should. I started calling this process my evening handover, like passing the baton from worker mode to real me mode. It's soft, it's simple, but it's powerful. There's something else too, something deeper. When I started treating my evenings like the most important part of the day, not leftovers, not recovery, but foundation, everything else got better. I was less reactive at work. I had more patience with people. I felt more connected to myself. I used to think productivity was about squeezing more into my schedule. But now I know it's about what you protect. And I choose to protect my evenings. So ask yourself, what does your bridge look like? What gentle routine could help you hand the day over and return to you? Because that's what integration really means. It's not about perfect balance. It's about connection, flow, intention. And that's where real transformation happens. If your evenings feel like a black hole, you're not alone. I've been there. But you're not broken. You just haven't found what fits your rhythm yet. Every one of these habits was simple. Nothing extreme, nothing expensive. Just consistent shifts that made a real difference. So, which one will you try tonight? Will you delete one app? Brew that tea? Block your evening into 90-minute cycles? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if this helped you rethink your evenings even a little, hit that subscribe button. I've got more honest, practical strategies coming your way. Your evenings aren't wasted. They're just waiting to be reclaimed. See you in the next video.